Alright, here we go. So guys, we're looking at the fourth game right now between Happy and Snute. It's a fourth game and not the third. I'm very sorry for that. The admin forgot to invite us into game number 3. This is why there is no VOD available. It was on Polar Night and Snute went in a massive Ling, Baneling and Roach attack. Happy defended against that quite easily and took the game. It was not a really long match between them. Snute just trying to be super aggressive on 3 hatch, but Happy, he defended so well with his 2 bases that he had there. And he didn't have a problem of claiming that game. So suddenly he's in the lead. He lost map number 1 and then won 2 in a row. And we are finding us in the 4th map here on Heavy Rain with Snute starting to the bottom. Starting things off with a hatch first once again, of course. And starting to the top of the map, we currently have Empire's Happy, who is now in the lead in the series. And I am very interested to see what kind of strategy we are going to see in this game for him. Because for him, it means he needs to win one more map. A single additional map in the best of 5, and he is going to take the series and will advance to the semi-final where he is going to face, I think, Protoss player, because in his part of the grid we should see Mana versus Baby Knight later on. So yeah, that's gonna happen there. Looking at the bottom of the map, we now have, of course, the spawning pool already started, and so far Snute didn't take gas. He's going up against the Reaper again. The Reaper is going to be started here by Happy and maybe even followed up by the second one. That's actually the case. So 2 Reapers for the Terran player, meaning that with Snute not having gas, he's not going to have the early speed, so the defense against the Reapers is going to be the Queens themselves. A few Lings here can, of course, also try to force the Reaper back, and on creep they get their speed advantage, but at the same time it's going to be way too difficult for them to close the distance to the Reapers without the upgrade into the speed upgrade, the metabolic boosts. So just at the beginning, the Ling's there to zone them out a little bit and make sure that no drones die. You would rather lose a Zergling than a drone, and the double Queen is going to end the game very soon and then put an end to the Reaper harass, at least for now. You just can't follow them too much, because that's usually not going to work for you. But for now, Happy has also his own base started. 2 kills on the Reaper now. That's of course only the Zerglings that I was talking about earlier. Never go off creep with the Queen against the Reaper, because it's just gonna run circles around you and gonna go into the mineral line once again. That's exactly what Happy is trying to do here. And so far the Terran player has a pretty decent control on the Reapers. Needs to move back now though before the Reaper is being taken down by the Queens. But keep in mind that he has actually 2 of those bad boys. Where's the second one? It's just patrolling over here in case that Snute sends a few Zerglings across the map and starts to attack the SCV that builds the command center. So pretty safe play here actually by him. And now looking into the main base, we see already the 3rd command center started by Happy. So Happy is going for the double CC here. We have him also with the starport already in production, and with the 2nd refinery it looks very much like we are going to see a tech lab right here and then a transition into cloaked banshees for him. So that would already indicate that he is going into a mech style here, especially since we have the Hellions now started, extra gas taken, and here comes, as already assumed, the tech lab for the Banshees. So we're going to see Cloak here by him with the 2nd gas that he started. And, well, what exactly does Snute have? Double gas now in the main base. No gases taken at the natural just yet. Extra Queens that he's committing to. And that is not only going to be 4, that's actually also going to be 6 Queens right off the bat. He's trying to get rid of that 1 Reaper over here because he wants to claim that 3rd base. And the Queens are a major part of his defense against the Banshees. He needs to, of course, also get detection into play, and that's not only the spore crawlers, but he's most likely going to start his own tech into lair very, very soon. That would allow him then to get overseers into the game, which is going to be crucial for him to defend against the Banshees if he doesn't have spore crawlers everywhere. We, at the same time, starting to the top, we currently have additional factories already being produced. So Vikings also started, and the Vikings will shut down the Overlord scouts immediately. As soon as we have the Overlords going down, he can be pretty safe that nothing is going to scout his own main base anymore, and that is probably also going to be possible for him to get maybe even drops with Hellbats later on into the main base of the Zerg player. But for now, it's just about getting the Hellions in there, and that was a pretty clutch block here at the wall that we have set up by Snute. So in the nick of time, just walking back with the Queens and making sure that the Hellions don't get in there. And with the Transfuse that we have, that Queen is not gonna die. A lot of damage done already to the Hellions, and right now Snute is looking pretty good. I mean, he has a nice wall here at the natural. He has the third base being set up. This is something that Happy cannot contest just yet. Roachburn started against the early aggression of the Hellions and the Reapers, so that's going to help him quite a bit. We already have him in a decent amount of harvesters. Overall supply is looking good at 69. And it's more about what Happy is going to do in the next stages of the game. Because for now, we have actually no Banshees. He didn't get a single Banshee there. He completely switched things off and decided to not go into Banshees. Probably when he saw how many resources did he lose? 224. I really don't think that he killed the Banshee. I really don't think that happened, but maybe he did. There was definitely no cloak upgrade. We can actually double check that. Yes, no cloak. I think he cancelled the idea of going into Banshees once he realized how many queens there actually were already. The Hellions with a quick poke get finally in here, but the queen already waiting. A few drones are definitely going to die on the other hand. That's something that he cannot prevent anymore. He's trying to move back here with his units and trying to get the Hellions into a spot where he can finally take them down. But 5-7 have been killed already. And that run by was definitely worth it already. 8 harvesters killed. That's a pretty good job here by those few Hellions. But Snute is still looking at a decent harvester count. And of course now also a bit eager to maybe even take that base over here. Was walking over with the drone to take that hatch. But then with the Reaper there and attacking the drone, he just moved back and took the extractor instead to save it. Couldn't, of course, place down a hatch in this position. But for now, we have Happy with a +1/+1 upgrades. The double armory is something that he uses again. He gets the extra factories into the game too. His third base is so far safe. Has a siege tank onto the high ground against ground units and even a couple of Hellbats over here with an additional siege tank to cover the area between the two bases. At the front, a wall with an included bunker. And now also the refinery started, double refinery, and that's the most important thing for him. If you play mech, you want to have the extra gas. Double refinery allows you to get a lot more gas per minute, and that's something that you need for the upgrades, for the Thors, for the siege tanks, and of course also for the extra production centers like the factories themselves here. So right now, what we're gonna see probably very soon are also 1 or 2 Thors by Happy. And the question is more, what is Snute gonna do this time? Claiming the map is important. I talked about this a bit in the last mech game that Happy played. Getting ahead of your opponent in economy and building up this massive bank is a big part of it. But the question is, what is Snute going to do in terms of unit composition? We have him with the Spire and also with the Infestation Pit. Is he just going straight into Hive again? Maybe try to get Broodlords instead of Ultralisks this time? Or are we going to see him with maybe even a few Swarm Hosts? I think it's a little bit unlikely since we currently have the +2 attack upgrade for melee units started instead of range upgrades. So it looks more like he will start to go into Broodlords. But we will wait a little bit and see what his idea is there. Hellbats are moving in once again, and you can really see his work on the minimap. The creep spread really good, so now that the Vikings are chasing down Overlords on the map, he has to rely a lot heavier on the creep tumors that are everywhere to see what's going on. And he's really making that work, especially since there's not a whole lot else to do but macroing it up. And we already have 85 creep tumors in total. The Infestation Pit is also done, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the Hive Tech started in a second. But Pathogen Glands is also part of the composition that he wants to utilize there. And with all these resources, there is the Hive Tech. Okay, would have been very surprised if that wouldn't have been the case. And that's a ton of creep tumors, by the way. Really taking the map here. And let's see what he's going to attempt next. We have a lot of queens, once again, 13 already in the game, going up to 15. That allows him to get the transfuses. Happy thinking about taking a 4th base now. And with 7 infestors in the making, we have at least everything that Snute needs to delay an incoming push by Happy. So as soon as the Terran player moves out, Fungals will slow him down, and Happy will give, therefore, his opponent the time to get units into the game. The question is, can Snute get the units that he really wants? He wants to complete his tech, and that is something that he really could do if Heavy gives him a little bit more time, but usually Heavy starts to move out once he is close to 180, 200 supply. A bit of an attack here at the bottom. Oh, that Medivac didn't do too much just yet. Just trying to maybe drop those Hellbats somewhere and do some damage, but so far it doesn't really look like he can accomplish too much here. Another attempt here already shot down. Yeah, the Hellbat's actually getting a couple of kills there. The blue flame upgrade wasn't done just yet, and it is Happy who starts the second set of upgrades right away after the first set is completed. Now with the Hive Tech done, we have also the +3 attack upgrades started, and you can see that we have double Spire. Double Spire is something that allows you to go into double upgrades, of course, and the Greater Spire should be started at this one here pretty soon. There it is. So trying to get the Broodlords into the game this time. And I approve of this choice. Broodlords, especially on this map, not really what you want to do. There are too many locations like this where you can attack with 3, 4, maybe 5 Ultralisks. Okay, sorry, Ultralisks are not the weapon of choice this time. But the Ultralisks in general are not going to be what you want here. There are just too many choke points, too many bottlenecks where you cannot do a whole lot, especially when the Terran player is having a good position. So it's a good and smart move to go into Broodlords instead. Getting those air upgrades out there will also allow you to go into a very strong Mutalisk composition in case that your opponent overcommits to Vikings and you want to crush that force. You can also just let the Vikings be Vikings and then transition into Ultralisks, because once there is a high number of Vikings in the game, that will limit the army supply of the Terran player significantly. And if he really kills your entire army in the air, you can just simply switch to a ground composition, and then Happy would struggle to really transition with with a unit composition that can deal with this. But we're not there just yet. We are in a position where the Zerg player is covering 2/3 of the map in creep though, and more Ultralisks, sorry, not Ultralisks, but Corruptors are being built. So looking at the numbers here, we have 14 of them and 11 additional. There we go, 20 and another 3. So the queens are moving out, and with the creep being spread this far onto the map, the queens can arrive at the top left very, very fast. They're very mobile in this situation. And more Broodlords are being built, Spine Crawlers all across the map, since the Harvester numbers are currently at 77 versus 80. So if Snute sacrifices a few additional drones, he will be in a position where he gets the much better army supply. But we now have also a pretty sick army for Happy. But in terms of anti-air, he has only 10 Vikings against 21 Corruptors. Keep in mind that those Thors, of course, also shoot air, so that is a very important fact here too, because they will help, especially against clumped up armies. And there we go. Broodlords going in and going straight to town on those drought units, whereas the Infestors and those Vikings are having their dance, because if those Vikings go close enough to the Infestors, the Fungals will be dropped, but they need to somehow take down those Broodlords, and the Broodlords are additional being transfused by Queens, or at least should be. The Thors are doing quite some damage, and all of the Vikings are currently gone. He should use Corruption now also with all of the Corruptors here that he has, because it's basically just free damage. It's 20 additional % damage taken by the units that are corrupted, and he's moving in already, trying to snipe the few remaining Vikings that we have in here. But I don't think that Snute really has a lot of Broodlords left. There are only 4 of them, and that might not be enough damage for him to really deal with this. I've also yet to see a really good Fungal on that army. Broodlords are doing their damage. Where is the Corruption? He still doesn't use that. He should use Corruption. He uses it against the Vikings, but he should use it against all of those Thors as well. That would really help him quite a lot. The Queens are already doing damage, and they're doing quite a bit of that. Here comes the Corruption finally being used, but at a time where there are no Broodlords left. He uses that way too late. The Broodlords are already gone, and now he's trying to rely on the volleyballs. Infested Swarm Eggs are there. And here comes the second wave of Broodlords, and now we're talking. Now Corruption comes into play, and this could really ruin the day of Happy in game number 4 here. Is Snute able to equalize the score? He still has some resources. He remaxing once again, but the same is also true for his opponent. Resources lost at this point in time is better for Happy, and Happy with the 3-2 upgrades is just moving across the map, trying to force his way into the bases of his opponent and take them down slowly but steadily. More Broodlords being built here, and it looks a little bit like Snute doesn't really know what he's supposed to do here. He's still looking at 17 Corruptors, but he doesn't really have what it takes to take down that army. There are 12 Thors. He somehow has to get a hold on those. Maybe with a good Fungal and then the Broodlord damage. Massive leg spike here for a second. But here come the Fungals that we were talking about. The Broodlords already trying to look for the distance that they need. And there come the Corruptors. They could corrupt once again. They're not doing it just yet. We have all the way at the front the Hellbats with Blue Flame. And that's something that works really well against those Broodlings. The Queen's also being taken down, and Snute drops down to 150 supply. He's really trying what he can, but the Thors alone are getting so many kills. Of 11 kills on one of them, 16 on another. We have 4, 8 kills, 6 and 7. This is just so much firepower that we see here for Happy. And these bad boys, they just don't die. The SCV's repairing the entire mech army the entire time. Even the corruption spell doesn't help the Zerg player too much. He's just losing too much. This is just Happy pushing in and in and in, pushing the Zerg back over and over again. And with all the Brood Lords in the world, this is a very difficult push to stop. There are just so many Thors. Maybe with a switch into Zerglings at this point, now that we only have 2 additional Hellbats left, he could maybe do something, and he's trying it, but he only has 24 since he's lacking the lava. He's not even waiting for this to happen. Happy wins game number 4, and he takes the best of 5 series with a 3-1 against the Zerg opponent and advances to the next round of the Esports Mancha Cup, where he will meet either Mana or Baby Knight, a Protoss player, to be determined at a later stage of the tournament today.